Hello, my name is Ayazura Kaiwa, and I will be providing you all with an overview on cloud computing. As we continue to transition to cloud, it is important to know how it can have a major impact on an organization's security, operations, and even legal standards. I will also be touching on the benefits, risks, and so on to give you a more well-rounded understanding of cloud computing so that you can make the best decisions when adopting the cloud. So let's start off by talking about cloud computing. Cloud computing allows for computing services such as retrieving data, storing data, and so on the cloud, also known as the internet, instead of your own hardware. For example, you use email services like Gmail every day that is stored away into the cloud. Cloud computing also brings its benefits such as greater scalability, cost effectiveness, improved recovery protocols, maintenance being way cheaper, and remote accessibility. Now let's look into the types of cloud services. I wanted to start off with the software as a service, SaaS. This is the more familiar one from the other types of cloud services, and it has the direct ability to retrieve software applications from the web. This can be seen with an example like Microsoft Azure, which has its own SaaS products such as Dynamics. As for the platform as a service, or PaaS, it is a service model that allows to build, deploy, and test applications without infrastructure management. Therefore, it provides services like the web servers, operating system, databases, and so on, while not being worried so much since it is already pre-configured. With this one, you can see with the Microsoft Azure App Services. All right, the next type of cloud service we have here is the Infrastructure as a Service, IaaS. So this is very unique since instead of being the owner of the virtualized hardware such as servers and storage, it can be rented through or by the cloud provider. So for example, there is the Microsoft Azure's virtual machines. It can even allow organizations to create and manage their IT infrastructure within the cloud. And it can come with so many positives. So this could be saving money, on-demand resources, and even letting companies have more control over their infrastructure. As for the desktop as a service, DaaS, there is a virtual computer desktop that is available anywhere remotely with the use of the internet on the cloud. It can even store files, the apps, and so on the web securely on a variety of devices. This could be your phone, laptop, or any other device. It can bring many benefits as well with this as well. So it could be the mobility aspect, the centralized management, the flexibility, the scalability that it brings. And there are a few providers when it comes to DaaS. It could be the Horizon Cloud, the VMware, and those are just a few of the many different types out there. Now, knowing these types, it is essential to know the various ways that the cloud infrastructure is being deployed. And this is where the deployment models here come into play. There are 4 types. There can be the public, private, community, or hybrid cloud. So starting off, the public cloud. This is a cloud provider that brings computing services such as storage, servers, and so on over the web, so it's available to everyone. It can involve no maintenance or even a setup cost, which is great. And the benefits here can be how it is so cost effective and even has a great scalability. It's also quite easy to access, which means it is shared since it is public. And that means that there is a solid foundational security is needed, which can be kind of a drawback to this, and you need to kind of have it isolated. So the next one is the private cloud. And private cloud, of course, is clearly more private since it is with an individual organization and it's not shared. It can also be with a third party or from a personal data center. The community cloud here, it keeps similar goals in mind, and it follows regulations while having more shared approach for the infrastructure with other organizations. So it can bring positives as well, such as these groups and organizations having those same regulations. The drawback here, though, is that it can be associated with security risks and it's more limited scalability-wise, and it can be a bit more costly. Lastly, the hybrid cloud is more of a combination of being private and public. So this is why it can come with a great flexibility. It can also be tough just because it can be harder to have a compatibility all of the time. All right, next, there is an important foundational technology aspect within the cloud computing that is needed, which is known as virtualization platforms. It allows you to manage and design numerous virtual machines on one physical server. So there are actually a few different ones to keep in mind. It could be the virtual box, which is utilized actually within the GCU course, VMware, KVM, and so many others. It is also important to keep in mind that there are a few differences between cloud and virtualization as well. So, for instance, virtualization can allow to make more of the virtual environments, whereas the cloud is more of the environment that shares the resources among the network. Next up, we have service-oriented architecture. So, this is also another essential piece that involves creating software that contains individual parts known as services that have their own task. And this can be great for reusing services to do additional jobs and that are more complex as well, which means that it's high in reusability. It also brings scalability and flexibility as well to it. Another advantage is that it works really well with the cloud since its services can be stored and executed on the cloud. So the next part I want to touch on is the key differences with the IT infrastructure when it comes to cloud-based versus on-site traditional. To start with, there is the cloud that is shared between companies and the provider for the cloud, whereas on-site is that it's about having absolute control over the hardware, configuration, and so on. So next up is the cost. Cost for cloud is much more cost effective since you are paying based on what you're using. For on-site, it is generally more costly since it's more expensive to upkeep while also needing more investment costs upfront. Next is the maintenance for the cloud, which is based off the cloud provider and can keep constant monitoring and updates in check. As for on-site, they need more of a full on-site IT team to keep everything maintained, which can require a lot of resources. The security now for cloud is based off the provider and is usually being shared. On-site is in-house where everything is managed when it comes to security measures. There is also the resources which are more scalable when it comes to cloud platforms. For on-site, it is more manual and limited. And then last we have network requirements for the cloud, and it does require much more dependable internet connection. As for on-site, it can carry on without having to need the internet since it is within the internal network. So here we should discuss in detail the security issues that could arise. One of them, starting off here, is possibility for data breaches. This is one of the big possibilities since sensitive data can be accessed by unauthorized users. The next one can be having encryption done improperly, leading to unauthorized access. It can also be much riskier when it comes to the data backup aspect as well. There's also risks such as social engineering tactics or phishing to get sensitive cloud data in an unauthorized manner. And lastly, here we have there's the high risk or is much more vulnerable to attackers with weaker API security controls. There can also be storage issues to keep in mind. There can be issues of someone handling data who could be a third party. Can be more costly having to create multiple copies for storage to prevent loss of data. Data can also be lost through attackers with malicious intentions or through accidental causes. This could be human errors, software glitches, failure to just update, and much more. And then there is also the issue of having to store them from faraway locations, since to retrieve the stored data can actually cause slowdowns. And lastly, utilizing these cloud services also comes with legal and privacy issues as well. So standards including HIPAA, PCI, DSS, and so forth are needed to be followed to meet those regulatory standards within those organizations. So data also can be stored and shared without the user knowing how their data is being used. That's another big ones as well. And the user must be also allowed to be able to delete or correct or even access their data anytime they would like. Alrighty, so this concludes this presentation. So please keep in mind that cloud computing can have its major advantages, but also some challenges when it comes to architecture or the security or even the compliance aspect. So it'll be up to us to make sure how well we take in this information and to make sure that the cloud strategy we choose aligns well so we can be successful. Once again, thank you for listening, and I hope this helps you make the best decisions as you transition into the cloud.